Hello. This is like the first positive mood ramble that I've wanted to do in months, and that feels good. Um, I want to talk about today, a couple things about today, and um, maybe a few other things. There's been a lot going on as always. I am growing and figuring myself out as always. My mental health has been in a better place than it was the last few months. Done with all the medical shit, focused on just being able to like get my strength back and get back into workout routines and gain weight and have a good appetite and shit like that. That's been good. Um, I'm still at the same job. There's been entirely different, like full management change the last few months, and it's good. It's starting to feel good, and I'm not used to that. Anyway, so also I always do these while under the influence, and I want to start being a little bit more transparent about that. Usually, there's transparency because you see what I'm imbibing. I've had a couple beers coming home from work, um, and a little high, and from weed, and I'm sobering up from the beer, but gonna continue to toke up a little bit because I'm immediately getting ready for bed after this video. I need to get up tomorrow morning and get ready for work. So, deep down, the meaning behind this video is that I'm coming to a place of accepting who I am on like a more energetic level, like personality and identity wise as well, but like I it's still hard for me to embrace like who I fully am energetically and like how much that shifts, and um you're gonna hear me talking a lot more in my natural accent because I've been doing that a lot more lately. um but part of it is that there is just kind of like a fun ricochet chaos energy that happens. um I really feel like ADHD is different from me, like, and I love and know so many ADHD people, especially ADHD men. Um, it's the type. Honestly. Like, if you're neurodivergent and CPTSD like me and you know your shit, ADHD men might be the type that you have. And yeah. Anyway, so I got to work early today, and I've started creating my route that I do. If I have a certain amount of time and I want to go to a certain place before I go into work, I'm like developing the route that I take to do that, and that's super regulating. Um, so I did that because this route tells me I have time. This route tells me I'm going to go do something pleasant and unplug for a little bit. This route tells me we're here to do something else before we go in for the workday. You know, um, so I walked down to the pond, and I was all geared up. I was very ready to eat my breakfast. It was one of those days that I got up early, and so I had less time uh, at home before I left for work. Um, I have enough time for like the basics of like get up and like get dressed and pack for the day, and but I don't always have time to eat. So, but I knew that I had a long bus wait between buses, and so I could eat there if I needed to. And then I knew that I was getting dropped off early, and I was gonna have like probably a half hour before I needed to go into work and change into work clothes. Um, so I plan on eating breakfast en route or when I got there. So I got to work, or I got to the place where work is, and where's the thing that I'm looking for? It was where I was. And I was gonna go down to the pond, cause down at the pond there's a lot of lily pads, and a lot of them were blooming like a week ago. It's fewer of them that are blooming, and it's like more like you can tell that it's just like the survivors that are left, cause like there was like a big bloom, and it's kind of died off, and it looks more mature now. So I was gonna go down to my spot, and I got part of the way into the area, and was confronted by a family of geese. There's four or five adolescent goslings, and then their parents, and then off right by the pond was another family, identical, three or four, they're slightly smaller, 3 or 4 goslings and their parents. So I speak geese. There are motions that geese do when they're communicating with each other, and that in a situation where it was just me and a pair of geese in a quiet setting. This was maybe a year and a half back. One of the geese was doing a motion like very clearly defined, and just out of curiosity, since it was just kind of the three of us, as like the largest animals in the space, I mimicked the behavior, and like they were kind of stunned, and like they looked me directly in the eye, and they hadn't been doing that, and I was like, oh, I think this is language. I think I just said something in their language, and they're like, what? And it was cool. So I've always pocketed that away, and so today I've always had a good rapport with geese since I was in college. So like I have stories from 20 years ago actually, where I was sharing my lunch with a family of goslings and their parents, and dealing with the animosity of their parents being protective. So anyway, spanning 20 years. So here we are today, and I was planning on eating breakfast. I had a sandwich and some fruit, and I was going down to the pond, and I got intercepted because like there was like already in the space was the adolescents and the parents. And so I come down there, and I'm like, oh, I should stop like right here. I'm not going to go where I was thinking about going. I'm going to stop right here. And the parents were hissing at me, the dad especially. And but I had cut up melon in a container, and so I took out a piece of that and like bit it into like 8 smaller pieces, like goose mouth sized, pieces, and like threw a few of them out towards them, and it ended up just like being a whole thing. It ended up being a whole conversation. It ended up being a whole shared meal because like the families were in their living space and doing their thing, and I was watching the parents like show the goslings, and I learned more of their language, because like there's a movement that like they do, especially the moms do, to show like this is where you look for food. Look, I'm showing you I'm looking for food, and and it's similar to how a male has asked me like, "Are you eating? Do you have food? Are you sharing that food? Is there food?" And I've taken that to mean just kind of like a general like eating motion. That's not like a look for, but it's a eating. It's sort of like with a question mark, and but I am so happy that I just like as soon as I realized, like, oh, this is the space that I'm entering, I was just fully in that space with them and realized, like, I'm the outlier. I'm also an aggressor, socially, and I want to be polite and like, hey, I want to show you I am sharing. I'm here to share. If we're both here, um, like that's how I want to show up socially. Um, I want to be an aggressor species who understands their place, and hey, I can bite a bunch of melon into small pieces and share it with you. So it was just cool, and it was interesting because I could kind of watch the rapport between the two families because like they weren't necessarily getting along. They were just sharing the space, and like there was definitely a bit of a pecking order between them, and there was a way that they were communicating, and there was a way that they were communicating with me, and like the different ways that both of the families were sharing space with me, because like the second family that was like down closer to the pond, like once the first family started like moving up a little bit and like had established how they felt about me and how we were going to interact and everything, um, the other family like approached me entirely differently. Like it was fascinating. Like socially, it was fascinating, and like it was just as real socially, to have that whole interaction with them, and like I realized like it felt the same for me, um because like I can feel when I enter in different kinds of social environments at work, and sometimes that's entering a much more female space. Sometimes that's entering a very black space, like a black dominated space, and like a black male space, and you need to show up right, and show up like respectfully and friendly, and um, it's all fascinating to me, just on a social standpoint. Um, and so I was so happy that I had this little corner of the park that's kind of tucked away by the pond, and I was able to like just like have my whole breakfast like communicating and watching these two families of geese, and almost no one was even in our space. No one else was in our space at all. Um, I just got to have that with them, and then and it took me a while to realize that like I was fully in like a non-human social interaction space, in my headspace, and like in my energy, like how I was focused. Because I kind of like I think of it as like twisting a kaleidoscope to like get the right kind of focus, to be able to meet like wherever I'm showing up at, and I know how to show up with them, with the earth, with the pond, with the sky, and I didn't realize how much I'd lost. I'd not lost, but like how much I was so comfortably tuned into that space, and then some middle-aged white dude. Hi, honey. My baby. I'm gonna give you all my attention here in a couple minutes. And this, like, just random white dude, you know, haughty, overweight, like, middle-aged white dude, comes down the bend, and, like, he also has, like, the mission in sight. I'm gonna go see this pond. And I'm walking down towards it. And, ooh, the immediate hiss that I'm not sure if the mom or dad gave, but, like, the dad and I were still... The mom and I were on good terms. But like, ooh, the immediate hiss that caught my attention, and me realizing that I was sitting in a place of being more in family with the goose family than with this random white dude, and more in family with the space of the pond and the prairie and the sky and the ecosystem of this place. I was more in tune and sitting with that and at home with that. And I looked at the dude as an outsider, and as I was showing up as a structure of that space, and then knowing that I had to interact with him, and I gave a calm, slow turn glance over, deep voiced morning, and to establish white male dominance of the space in a peaceful way, because that's how that works, and because it's a thing, and he was like, okay, cool, someone's already here, because he's in a purely white male headspace, and that, as much as my entire experience saw him as an outsider, he recognized me as a safe making for him. Not that he needs safe making, but like as a normalcy checkpoint, I guess. I don't know how to say that. Baby, you okay? We've been having late night songs, things that we've been calling out. I don't know. They're just doing it lately. The cats have. It is not the same thing as safety making. But it's very funny to me that I understood from his perspective that he could only see the world as a human-made space and a white male-dominated space. And he saw me, and even though he saw me as a park-abiding, maybe kind of hippie, younger than him kind of thing, like, I still showed up in, like, a resonant, grounded white male, and that checked a box for him. And even though, like, I'm in a place of, like, feeling like I need to guard my safety, and then he started, like, fucking complaining about the park consumption. I'm just like, I'm not about that. I'm not even hearing you right now. I'm not showing you that I'm ready to respond to you at all. And then he left, and then I realized, like, oh, I was vibing so much more with the geese. And then I went in, and I honestly had a great day at work, because, like, I have to make this short because I have less than 2 minutes. But I did a good job today of realizing, like, oh, there is drama happening over there, and I'm gonna... I'm just gonna actually turn the corner, and I'm not gonna be involved, and I don't care. and that can be over there because I don't want to be involved. And I think that was a good way for me to share that space. Um, I shared a meal that I had made with a coworker yesterday. He told me he was gonna like take it home and eat it for dinner that night. And so today he talked to me about it, and like it's just so nice to have that. And he's more comfortable. He works back of house. I work front of house. It's nice that he's more comfortably showing up like at the bar, um, because like he knows someone, and like I get to look at someone who like your belly's filled with what I cooked in my kitchen. Like it just feels good. Like man, I love feeding people. Anyway, I gotta go. More on this later. Hopefully, more good vibes later. Take care.